Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're all well and having a great day so far. If you're new here, hi, I'm Emma and I make bookish content. Everything from reading vlogs to book hauls, book reviews, monthly TBR videos. So if that sounds like your thing as well, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining our little community here. Today I'm going to be chatting and giving my 2 cents on all of the books that I read in October. I read 20 books this month. So go grab yourself a drink, get comfy and let's get into it. First up, I have Spiral by Bel Cabra. I rated this 3.5 stars. It's the second book in the Off the Ice series and we did meet the main character Elias in book 1. He's now been newly drafted to play for the Toronto Thunder. He is finding the fame a bit of an adjustment, especially the media scrutiny about his love life and who he's dating. Sage, our female main character, is a ballerina and she's also facing some challenges in her career. It's becoming very apparent to her that she's not going to be successful through talent alone, and to get the big roles that she really wants, she needs to increase her popularity on social media. It's a really fun meet cute between the two of them, and I'm not going to tell you how they meet because I don't want to spoil it for you, but the two of them decide that they want to fake date because it's mutually beneficial. He can have sort of a girlfriend in the media and then he won't be getting so much speculation in the press about who he's dating. She can obviously be seen with a popular up-and-coming hockey player, which is going to help increase her social media presence and, you know, help her achieve what she wants to as well. I enjoyed this book a lot more than the first book, Collide. I think I've spoken about it before. Collide just wasn't for me. It was a reverse Grumpy Sunshine where the female main character is the grumpy one, but I just couldn't take to her. I found her particularly irritating, quite bratty, and for that reason I just wasn't invested in their relationship. This one was a lot better in my opinion, and I do always enjoy a fake dating trope. I think it's a trope that a lot of people enjoy in romance books. What I will say though is, although I enjoyed this book in the moment, it was a pleasant read, past the time, I don't think this series is particularly memorable. And when you compare it to other hockey or sports romance series like Liz Tomfordy's Windy City series, Megan Quinn's Agitator series and Becca Mack's Playing for Keeps series, I don't think that this holds its own. I think it's going to get lost in the mass of other sports romance books out there. Revolve, which is the 3rd book in the series, is on my November TBR and I'm going to read it this month and go into it open-minded. Obviously I enjoyed this book much more than the first and I may enjoy the 3rd book better still. I want to go into it and love it. It's not that I, go into something wanting to hate it, because otherwise what's the point in reading it? So I do want to give it a chance. Hopefully I'll enjoy it a lot more, but if it doesn't hit right for me, I think I will probably call it a day at book 3 and not continue with the rest of the series when that comes out. So yeah, as I said, we'll see what Revolve brings, but this was pleasant enough. I wouldn't put anybody off or discourage them from reading it. It was okay. I also read King of Wrath by Anna Huang and I rated this one 3.5 stars as well. It's the first book in her King of Sin series, and up to now I've only ever read her Twisted series, which I did very much enjoy. If you're looking at the cover and thinking it looks a little bit different, you would be right. This is an exclusive edition for the works, and I did pick up the first 5 books in the series in these covers, which are absolutely stunning. It's enemies to lovers and it's also an arranged marriage. There are small appearances from some of the characters from the Twisted series in this book. They're not main characters or even, I would say, major supporting characters, but you do see glimpses of them, which is nice because the timeline overlaps between the 2 series and they're both part of the same universe. For me, this is not what I would call a standout book. When I read the Twisted series, the standouts for me were Twisted Games and Twisted Lies. absolutely love those two books. I wouldn't say the other two in that series were particularly standout for me either, but that didn't stop me from enjoying the series as a whole. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with this series. And in this book, we did get introduced to the MMC from the second book. So very much looking forward to starting that, and hopefully, if I don't read it in November, should get it read by December at the latest. I also read The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, and this was another 3.5-star read for me. It's a cosy fantasy, and I haven't read too many in this genre up to now, but it's a heartwarming story. There's very unlikely friendships, and there's even a talking plant. So our main character, Keela, is a librarian in the Royal Library. She's worked there for 11 years. She's not particularly a social person. She just likes to do her job, keep her head down. But unfortunately, the city comes under attack, the library goes up in flames, and she can't bear to watch the books burn. So as she's sort of fleeing, she grabs whatever books she can carry, and a lot of those are spell books. In this kingdom, magic is not for everybody. It's very much kept by the rich and the aristocratic, if you like. So sharing knowledge, even sort of having spell books, is illegal, and some quite nasty things can happen to you if you're found to be in possession of them. So she grabs them anyway, she flees, gets into a boat, and she ends up on the island that she grew up in. She goes back to her family home, although she doesn't have any family anymore, and she sets up a little shop, but she's also doing magic in the background, which is obviously forbidden, so she's keeping that very close to her chest. She doesn't know who to trust in the town, but she wants to carve out a life for herself, but as I say, she shouldn't be using magic really, so she's very reluctant to really share that part of herself with the people in the town. As I've said, I've read a couple of cosy fantasies now, and to be honest with you, I can't see myself ever rating this genre 5 stars. That's just personal preference really. When I'm sort of reading an enemies to lovers romantasy series, that is really my bag, and I can very often rate those 4 or 5 stars. This, I would say, is like a pleasant, heartwarming read, which is, really nice to have, and we need that from time to time. But I think because it's a cosy, cutesy genre, it's probably not going to grip me enough to get to those higher ratings, and that's just my own preference really, not because the book's bad. Then I read a novel love story by Ashley Poston. This is magical realism, new genre for me this year, and Ashley Poston was also a new author. I read The 7-Year Slip and also Sounds Like Love. Really enjoyed both of those. And I don't think this one sort of gave me the same feeling. Maybe that's because the last two I've read are newer books, and she may have grown as a writer. But I found myself, needing to read the back of this book before filming the video, because I just couldn't remember what the story was about, which tells you everything really. I remember thinking it was pleasant enough at the time. I did enjoy the read, but as I say, there wasn't anything stand out that is going to hold this story in my memory for a long period of time. Our female main character has had a pretty crappy time of late. She's recently broke up with her fiance, who was a long-term boyfriend. They were very much in the throes of planning their wedding, and quite near to the date he's called it all off, so she's sort of been left to have to tell all the guests that the wedding's off, cancel all the arrangements, and he has gone off, found himself a new girlfriend, and within a relatively short amount of time has got engaged to this new person. So she's feeling pretty burnt and not particularly in a great place at the moment. She's a fellow book lover and absolutely loves this small town romance series. She's loved it from day dot. has made like her best friend, her book club, read it. But this series has really rose in popularity after the author died in quite tragic circumstances. So she's sort of like an old school die-hard fan. And unfortunately, since the author tragically passed away, that's when it's sort of become more popular with the masses. She's got a trip planned. I think she's sort of staying away in a cabin for a week. She just wants to read books, chill, relax with a friend. Unfortunately, a friend cancels on her at the last minute, so she decides to go on her own anyway. While she's en route to this holiday cabin, her car unfortunately breaks down and she gets stranded in this small town for a few days while she's waiting for her car to be repaired. She obviously needs to find herself somewhere to stay. She goes to the local restaurant for meals, and as she's sort of meeting the local townsfolk and they're introducing themselves to her, she's finding that a lot of these people feel very familiar to her and she feels like she knows them. And it turns out she is actually in her much beloved book series. So an interesting concept. I've not read much magical realism before, and I do enjoy how different it is from the books I would normally read. I find it quite refreshing. Unfortunately, this one just didn't suck me in as much as the 7 Year Slip. That one I very, very much enjoyed, but a very pleasant read nonetheless. Next up, I have On Wings of Blood by Briar Bolin, and I rated this 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved it. I enjoyed it so much. It's the first book in a new Romantasy series, and I've already ordered book 2. Hopefully I should be getting that at some point in November. Our main character, Medra Pendragon, is half human, half fae, and apparently she is the last dragon rider, but dragons no longer exist in this world. She finds herself captured by vampires, and in the vampire world there are 4 main families and one of them is currently in power, although there is very much a power struggle and politics between the main vampire families. So the one that's in power at the moment, his nephew is the one that captures her and he takes her to the king. They decide to betroth Medra to the nephew, so it's forced betrothal, and she's also made to attend Bloodwing Academy, which is where all of the sort of vampire students go to school. So it's dark academia. It does give a bit of Fourth Wing vibes in the fact that it's an academy setting and they're having to take lessons in things like combat, history, that type of thing. But she's very much got a target on her back. Vampires look down on other species. I think they consider themselves to be top of the food chain. So yeah, she has a bit of a rough ride of it at the school. It finishes on a cliffhanger, so I'm very excited to pick up the second book and I'm so happy I haven't got too long to wait. But yeah, very much enjoyed it. I have seen it compared to Zodiac Academy as well. I've not read that series myself yet, so I'm not sure, how accurate that is, but if you're a fan of Zodiac Academy, the reviews on Amazon do say that you would probably enjoy this. I certainly enjoyed it anyway, so I think it's definitely worth picking up. Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. I really wanted to love this book. On paper, when I was reading the synopsis, it sounded like it was going to be right up my alley, but unfortunately it was a bit of a miss. I've rated it 2.5 stars. It's YA romantasy in a dark academic setting, and this academy is in the afterlife. From what I can remember, once somebody enters this academy, there's only one way to leave, and that is once every, I'm not sure whether it's 10 years or 100 years, there is some sort of trial of which there can only be one victor. The person that wins that trial then has a choice whether to move on to the next stage of the afterlife, which, they're not really sure what that is, what it entails, or they can become one of the academy's elite. This is the year where this event takes place, and there's a handful of students selected to compete, and they have to participate in various trials against each other. There was a couple of things that I wasn't so keen on about this book. Firstly, all of the students that are competing in this trial have their own POV chapters, so there's at least 6+ people where you're getting their opinions and point of view. That at times I found it quite difficult to keep up with, and because you're sort of flitting between so many people, you're not getting sort of a lot of depth from any of them, or getting to know any of the characters too well, in my opinion. Also, the relationships in this book are a bit sort of further along than I would have liked. They're essentially coupled off. Even if some of them are not actually together yet, you can see exactly where it's going. And I personally would have preferred them to be earlier in that relationship. So we've got, I don't know, rivals to lovers, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, and we can see that growth. Whereas because they were already quite far along in that, there was almost, I felt, not far for them to go on that storyline, so it fell a bit flat for me. I'm not sure whether I'll be picking up the next book at this stage. We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm sad because I just really wanted to love this book. As I said, on paper it just ticked all of my boxes, but it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. Truly Madly Deeply by LJ Shen. I rated this 3 stars. It's a romance book, and it's the first book in sort of 3 interconnected standalones. Our female main character Cal has returned to her hometown following the death of her father to really give her mom some support. She left her hometown when she was in her late teens, following a huge bust up with her best friend. She actually slept with her best friend's older brother, and when her best friend found out about this, she went absolutely nuclear, and the friendship just never recovered. Her friend's older brother, Ro, he has gone on to be a very successful chef. He's doing extremely well for himself. And I don't think that he liked how things ended with Cal. I mean, obviously there was all that drama with his sister, but I think he would have perhaps liked to see where that relationship went, but because Cal was so concerned with upsetting his sister, that never really got off the ground, and I think it caused quite a lot of bad feeling between the two of them. They've not seen each other in quite a few years, and now Cal's back in town. They run into each other, so it's sort of like a second chance romance. There's also forced proximity. It's, as I said, best friend's older brother, and Cal just very much wants to repair the relationship with her friend. It was a fun read. I enjoyed it. It was a good book. I also read The Book of Asriel, and I've been wanting to read this for the longest time, and I'm so glad that I did this month. It did not disappoint. This was a 5-star read for me, and I can't wait to continue the series. At the moment, the first 4 books are out. I think book 4 has been very recently released, but I'm not too sure how many there are going to be in the series as a whole. But this is a darker romantasy. Absolutely loved it, and what I enjoyed about it is the female main character is the one who is morally grey. Years ago, Diana made a deal with Caden, who is a horrible monster, the worst of the worst, in order to save her younger sister's life. In order to save her sister's life, she has had to sign up for a lifetime of servitude to him, and in doing that, she has had to do some really awful things. Caden forces Diana to hunt down this ancient relic, which is being held by one of their most dangerous enemies, Sankiel. Sankiel has been off the grid for quite some time, but he's forced to return to the realm when people that he loves are in danger. They are on very much opposite sides. They are 100% enemies, but they're reluctantly forced to work together for a common goal, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the dynamic between the two of them. There's a lot of mistrust. They don't treat each other very nicely, but yeah, I can tell already I'm going to really enjoy this series, and I can't wait to read book 2. The next 2 books I did read in a recent reading vlog, so I won't waffle on too much about them because obviously I gave you more detailed opinions in that video. But the first is Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and this was a 3.5 star read for me. The main character, Serena, is a werewolf-human hybrid, and in this world species coexist, so there are humans, weres and vampires, and there's a lot of politics between them as well. The vampires aren't happy about her existence because, you know, they consider it to be a threat and a possible sign of peace between the humans and the weres. Some of the weres are not happy about it, some of the humans are not happy about it, and there's very much a target on her back. So she goes to stay with the Alpha of the Northwest Pack, who is her mate, hence the title of the book. But I don't think he's really honest with her about what it means to be a mate. She's finding it quite an adjustment. You know, her were side is now becoming more prominent, and she's going through things that she's never experienced before. And also from a medical point of view, because she is a hybrid, some of the things that the weres experience she doesn't quite experience in the same way, so that can be a bit scary for her. But she is very much under this alpha's protection, and from that a relationship does develop. I also read Soul Searching by Lila Sage, and this was a 3.75 star read for me. I did really enjoy it. It's quite different from her Rebel Blue Ranch series, but there is some crossover between some of the characters in that series and the characters in this book. It was really nice to see a couple of familiar faces. The main character, Collins, she's a photographer and she's found herself on difficult times. She's lost a job, running out of money, and she very, very reluctantly has to return to her hometown. She's not honest with her family and friends about her job situation though, and she ends up staying with Brady, who is a friend of the family. He's got a spare room at his place, and he also gives her a job in his furniture store to help her out a little bit. Collins has got a very rare ability. She can see and talk to ghosts. She's been doing it for the whole of her life, but recently the ghosts have not been talking back to her and she doesn't know why. There's obviously forced proximity between Collins and Brady because of living and working together, but there is also this ghost element which does add a bit more excitement into the mix. She's able to speak to a couple of ghosts that she knows, and actually help out some of the ghosts as well. So it did remind me a lot of The Ghost Whisperer, the series with Jennifer Love Hewitt. I used to love watching that years ago. But yeah, it was a fun read. I really enjoyed it. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout was on my October TBR, and I've spoken about it in other videos, but I very much wanted to reread the whole From Blood and Ash series and the Flesh and Fire series before starting to read her new book, The Primal of Blood and Bone. And October was the month that it happened. I regret nothing. I binged everything. It was amazing. I'm going to go on record as saying this. I think these series are one of my all-time favourites. I loved it just as much the second time round as I did the first. I just got so sucked into that universe. I really, really you know, love the characters, love everything about it. There's enemies to lovers, there's hidden identities, there's monsters, there's magic, there's stuff going on in present day, but there's also, you know, things that have happened in the past, and there's people seeking vengeance. There's so many things going on in this series. It's just absolutely fantastic, and if you like Romantasy and you haven't picked this up yet, then you better add it to your basket now on Amazon, because I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. Timeline wise, everything that is happening in From Blood and Ash is happening in real time, so present day. But the other series, which is From Flesh and Fire, this is a prequel to everything that happens in From Blood and Ash. And then in the brand new book, which is The Primal of Blood and Bone, these timelines intersect. When I read this the first time round, I read From Blood and Ash from start to finish. Then I went in and read the prequel series From Flesh and Fire. I enjoyed it that way. I don't think it took anything away from the story. But one thing that I enjoyed so much this time round is somebody put a recommended reading order on the internet, and that's where you can read these books and sort of intermix them. And because I enjoyed it so much, I will share that reading order with you. So I started with the first 3 books from the Blood and Ash series. So we obviously have From Blood and Ash, then A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and The Crown of Gilded Bones. Then we jump into book 1 of Flesh and Fire, so I read A Shadow in the Ember. Then back to From Blood and Ash book 4, A War of Two Queens. Book 2 of Flesh and Fire, this is A Light in the Flame. Then back to book 5 of From Blood and Ash, A Soul of Ash and Blood. What I will say about this one is the majority of this book is a retelling of events that we've already seen in the series up to this point, but it's from the main male character's perspective. Only the last couple of chapters are new content, so just bear that in mind. Then we finish off the Flesh and Fire series, so we have book 3, A Fire in the Flesh, and book 4, Born of Blood and Ash. And then finally I finished on her latest book, which is From Blood and Ash book 6, The Primal of Blood and Bone. And as I said earlier, this is when the timeline of the 2 series intersect. I personally think to get the most out of this book, you need to have read both series first. Whether that is the way that I did it the first time, reading From Blood and Ash first and Flesh and Fire second, or you use the recommended reading order online, which is what I've just gone through with you. Either way, I enjoyed it, but definitely give them a read before reading this one. Both series for me are 5 stars. I think if I was rating the books individually, there's a couple of them that I would rate slightly lower. So the retelling from the MMC's perspective, just because a lot of it was not really new content for me. But both series, as I say, if I rate them as a series, which is probably a fairer assessment, 5 stars for both, absolutely no questions asked. This is not the final book in the series. When this book was first announced, I was hoping that it would be, and sort of wrap everything up in a nice conclusion, but there is going to be at least one more book in this series, which I'm hoping will come out next year. It did finish on a cliffhanger, and I cannot wait to find out what happens. As soon as that book is available for pre-order, it'll be straight in my basket, no questions asked. So guys, those were the 20 books that I read in October, and in terms of ratings, this month's been a bit of a mixed bag. As you've seen, some I've enjoyed a lot more than others, but I am excited for my November TBR. I've already read a couple of books from it, and I think that November is going to be a great reading month as well. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you read in October in the comments, and if you have any thoughts about the books that I've read. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but either way, I love to hear your thoughts and always love chatting with you. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please let me know by giving it a like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I would love to have you back. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your day.